Good afternoon from Singapore and a very warm welcome to everyone joining us today. We are delighted that you have chosen to spend some time with us getting to know a little bit more about our infant school on our East Campus. We will get started in just a few minutes from now. We're just going to give our attendees a little time to get onto this Zoom meeting platform. So please bear with us. And while we're waiting for everyone, we would like to invite you to enjoy a video which shows you a day in the life of our infant schoolers. Okay, we hope you enjoyed that video. And hello again, and a warm welcome to everyone who's just joined us since the time we started. Could I request all participants, all of the audience, to please keep your microphones turned off? Please mute yourselves if you would. Thank you so much. We will give you a chance to unmute yourselves and ask questions a little bit later on in the program. My name is Malika Ramdas. I'm Director of Admissions at the college, and it's my great pleasure to host today's event. I'm just going to take a few moments to walk you through today's program and then go through a few guidelines for our event this afternoon. So as you can see on the slide, we will in a moment have a quick poll to invite you to tell us what you're interested in most of all today. We will have our learning leadership team walk you through what the learning program is like in our infant school, and that will be led by our principal and our vice principal of the infant school. And a really exciting part of our program is that you will get an opportunity to hear from a high school student who started out in our infant school. And then you'll also get to hear from some of our infant school students themselves. So we very much hope you will enjoy that. After the learning program presentation, we will then invite you to go into breakout rooms for the question and answer period related to the learning program. We do ask that you keep your questions related to the learning program for that part of the session, because soon after that, you will have a chance to ask your admissions related questions in a separate admissions Q&A session. So do keep that in mind. And also we would like to remind you to just keep your questions to questions of a more general nature, rather than something very specific to your child or family. You're very welcome to contact us later on for those very specific questions, and we'll tell you how to do that in the admissions question and answer period. Okay, so I want to also let you know that this learning program presentation will be recorded today, and the recording will be posted on our website and will also be sent to everyone who registered for today's program. So in case you can't stay through for the whole duration, you will have a chance to catch up on that later on. Okay, so at this point, I am going to ask my colleague Christina to show you our opening poll and just get your quick responses to that. So we invite you to respond to this poll and tell us which aspects of this you might be most interested in. Thank you very much. I can see responses coming in now. Fantastic. Keep them coming. We'll just keep the poll open for another short while, give people a chance to respond. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you again, everyone. And you're welcome to continue to respond to that poll. We will close it in another couple of seconds. And lots of interest in, as we might expect the infant school learning program, the curriculum, and you've also got interest in understanding how admissions to the infant school works, which we will talk about in the admissions question and answer. Wonderful. Thank you all very much for that. Christina, I think we can close the poll now. Thank you. Okay, so with that, it's now my great pleasure to introduce to you the principal of our primary school on our East Campus, Pauline Markey, and she is joined today by our Vice Principal of the Infant School, Tracy Yockman. So over to you, Pauline and Tracy.
Thank you very much, Malika, and thank you for joining us today. As Malika said, I'm Pauline Markey. I'm the primary school principal, and that's with overall responsibility for our K1 children right up to grade 5. So our 4-year-olds to 11-year-olds. The school is split into 2 sections. So our infant section, which we're focusing on today, is our 4 to 7-year-olds, K1, K2, and grade 1. We really wish you could have been here to join us on our campus, our fantastic campus, and to meet the truly wonderful students and see our exciting learning environments and where they spend their time. But we're still very pleased that you have joined us today, and we feel so honoured that you're considering Uwcsea for your child and for your family to be part of their learning journey. Before we go any further, I just want to make a disclaimer. You'll notice in the presentation and footage that we have a mix of pre-COVID and current photographs and videos, because we wanted to give you a flavour of what it's like now and a flavour of what it's like outside of these very strange times. The choice of school we make for our children is perhaps one of the toughest and most important decisions that we make. And this is no different for us as parents as it is for us as educators as well. I've been an educator for over 30 years and over 20 of those have been international. And like you, I did my research before I joined Uwcsea 5 years ago. I wanted to find a school that matched my philosophy and my values and provide for my own family and for me as a professional the types of value-based experiential learning that I hold so dear. I can honestly say I have not been disappointed one day of my time here. Biased, I know, but we can honestly say we have the best job in the world. We're passionate about what we do here at Uwcsea, and we really hope today we can give you just a taste or a flavour of what makes us so special. Next. So when you were doing that research, I'm sure that our mission was a real driving factor in considering Uwcsea. It certainly is for us as educators. And if you were looking at that, I'm sure the words peace, sustainability, unite, maybe even force were prominent in your thinking. And these are all key to us, but probably the most important word in there is people. Uwcsea is all about relationships. It's all about connections. Be that our children, who are the most engaging, articulate, capable and curious young people who we get to share our day learning beside every single day. There's not a day goes by when I do not learn something new from a student. Only this morning, whilst in a K2 class, chatting with some boys engaged in exploration in the water play area, a little girl came over to show me her brain food. When I responded saying, "Oh, that's a really healthy snack, darling," one of the boys quickly corrected me and said, "Her name's not Darling, her name's Zana." All very important stuff to show how competent our children are. The adults we have, they're a committed, passionate, experienced, and passionate group of students who care for each other and group of adults who care for every one of the students and each other and guide each other in their learning. This isn't just the adults in the class, the teacher and the teaching assistant, it's every single member of our community, from the catering staff, the admin teams, the facilities, specialists in the different lessons. Every single person plays a vital role in providing the optimum conditions in which our children can thrive. And parents, as yourself, we have a supportive, engaged, diverse and eager parent body who are ready and willing and able to support families and our students. We have been absolutely blown away by how they have pivoted in the current times to still make sure those connections are strong and alive. And we look forward to you, should you choose UWC, we look forward to you joining that parent body in whatever capacity is appropriate to you. Another fine example of our school is that we are a K-12 school, and that brings with it so many benefits. The relationships our younger students and older students have together, and that modelling that our older students do and play in the lives of our young children, we are going to show today through a fantastic reflection of her time at our school. We have a grade 11 student, Ruby, who will talk about her time. She started with us in infancy, as Malika said, and is still with us now in grade 11. So over to you, Ruby.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Uwcsea East Infant School Open Day. My name is Ruby Silides. I'm in grade 11, and I've been coming to the school here at the East Campus for the last 11 years. I started my UWC journey in grade 1 when I was just 6 years old. I vividly remember how I felt as I stood by the globe in the plaza for my very first of 11 first day of school photos. There I was in my oversized and brand new light blue shirt, holding hands with my little 4-year-old brother, Freddie, who was just starting K1 that day. We were shaking with excitement. My parents, both teachers at UWC, were bursting with pride as they snapped that shot. As a UWC East family, we felt like we were where we were supposed to be, starting at a school whose mission perfectly aligned with our family values. Sustainability and peace are at the very heart of everything. I was the only new child joining my class that year. However, hundreds of students and staff were new to the Tampines campus. That created a wonderful atmosphere in our school community that day. The infant school had been there for a year, and everyone else was finally joining them from the Uwcsea campus. I felt like the UWC East community had finally arrived, and I was a part of that. How very cool. Everything around me seemed massive, shiny, new, and exciting. I couldn't wait to play on all of the equipment, to paint, to climb, run, dance, make music, learn languages, and meet new people. I was exploring all of the fantastic resources that I could see around me. I expect your child will feel similar emotions as my brother and I did back then. The infant school and the rest of the school was like a magical kingdom to us. My parents were delighted with the opportunities available to us, including the holistic education that we were about to receive. As my parents held my brother and me by the hand, walking us through the school on the way to class, we were skipping. There may have been a few stops at the playground on the way, and I certainly remember them pushing us a few times on the swings. This space, even though it was huge, felt cozy and welcoming. We could not believe the sand pits, the tunnels, the massive slide that was so high and went on forever. There were even dinosaur bones for me to excavate in the sand. I remember thinking that my grade level pod felt like a small family space in this big school. I loved how we gathered around a central area where we could meet for reading and experiments. And I particularly enjoyed baking in our small kitchen and having class parties. I remember thinking that my teacher was so caring, patient, and kind. And I loved making diverse friends and being so close to all the other children in my grade level. The classroom was bright and inspiring, colors and shapes and pictures everywhere to stimulate my imagination. Our teaching assistants were there to help me and encourage me, and I felt like I belonged and I could achieve anything. In hindsight, we must have looked tiny. My backpack was as big as my body. It makes me chuckle when I reminisce over those photos. I had enough snacks in my lunchbox for 4 children. Over the years, my parents have taken the same picture around the globe in the plaza. Even though it got increasingly embarrassing, especially in middle school, and we moaned and insisted that we take the photo faster year on year, I remember looking back and thinking that they invoked potent memories of acceptance, of love, of personal growth, and thankfully, better fitting uniforms and nicer trainers. My backpack fits my body now, but it is certainly heavier with all of my IB books. As I embark upon my last 2 years at the school, I appreciate the previous 11 years more and more. Your child will have an incredible experience should they attend this school. When UWC says education like no other, it is entirely true. Being a 5 elements child sometimes feels challenging. The bar is high here, but there are excellent and caring people all around to help me and your child flourish in service, activities, PSC, outdoor education, and academics. Back then, I could never have foreseen how much I was going to learn, not just in my academics, but all of the elements of the UWC-SEA's learning program. I've been on a journey to develop what we call the skills and qualities and mission competencies of a UWC-SEA learner profile. I could never have known how much this school is an essential part of who I am today. This special education and community has developed my ethics, values, behaviors, and perspectives, and they are still being formed to this day. This school has not only enabled me to pursue what I love, but empowered me to be a force for positive change too. I cannot imagine being at a school that doesn't deliberately equip me to be a passionate agent for change in my world. My toolkit for change making is something I am proud of and thankful for. This part of my education has been strategic, well-planned, and developmentally appropriate. It has enabled me to work alongside sustainable development experts in Singapore and overseas, learn from social entrepreneurs and innovators, and gain insight and empathy for people and causes that I would not have had elsewhere. I think this sets me apart from other students. And the amazing thing is, every student here is provided with the same opportunity, time and again. Of course, my circle of care, ability to love others, and understanding of sustainability and peace are still evolving. However, I feel like I have a great foundation to go out there and do something great in the world. I look back on the light blue shirt infant school me. I was trying to take it all in, trying everything out. Swimming, helping at food kitchens, dancing with epic hearts from Cambodia alongside their wheelchairs, learning sign language, building shelters, going out on outdoor education trips. How amazing. A medium-sized, awkward green-shirted me, that is middle school by the way, strutting around like I owned the place. I learned how to play rugby, tackling the biggest players, taking the shot in football, visiting Kenya and learning from the Maasai woman, making arts and crafts with differently able people in our local community, learning how to grow my food, taking on a new language, being in the drama productions and singing in the choir. Dark blue shirted me, tackling the challenges of the IGCSE, dancing in Culturama, still doing lots of drama, honing my leadership skills by leading conferences and collaborating with local Singapore schools on sustainability issues. And finally, here I am before you in my white shirt. It is a hard-won badge of success at our school. I'm studying exciting new subjects, meeting many new people, including scholars from all over the world, getting quite good at my contact rugby now and playing, well, training, thanks to COVID, with other youth in Singapore. Currently, I'm working with 10 other schools on sustainability issues that will influence Singaporean policies. I feel like I can now tackle some systematic problems, and my understanding of complex systems is helping me make a difference. I hope to go back home to the UK and study humanitarian or environmental law, advocating for the voiceless, raising the capacity of those who have not had the same opportunities I've enjoyed, and dismantling barriers that prevent equity and equality for all. Like I said earlier, this education is really like no other. Your child is going to love it here, and you are going to as well. Welcome to our family.
Thank you so much, Ruby, for that. And I hope Ruby and her reflections illustrate the impact of our education here at UWC, and especially the skills, qualities and values we hold dear. Thank you, Nisha. And there they are. You can see on the screen the skills and qualities and the values that underpin all of what we do here at UWC SEA. We expect all members of our community, adults and children alike, to be honest and act with integrity, to be compassionate and morally responsible, and to help other people. And we believe that every child and young person, regardless of age, has at all times, in all situations, the right to feel safe and protected. These skills and qualities and our values are as appropriate for our 4-year-olds as they are for our 14-year-olds. And we teach them explicitly through assemblies and stories and modelling, and provide as many opportunities for students to put them into practice in all of our areas. It always just fills me with joy when I see our youngest children, our K1 children, in the morning talking about what great self-managers they are as they empty their backpacks and put the things in the right places and register themselves on their way into the classroom and greet each other with kindness and compassion. It reminds me of one of my favourite quotes from a K2 student who talked about kindness and told the other children who are in my Patter with Pauline group, a group where I meet with different students each week to talk about what school's like for them. This one K2 student told the others, if you're kind to other people, they will be kind back to you. It's like a kindness circle. Once again, out of the mouths of babes, we learn every day. So on that note, let's hand over to some of our youngest children and hear what they think about UWC SEA. Thank you, Nisha.
Playing football downstairs. Drawing. Playing with the school toys. Playing. My favorite thing about school is playing with my friends and having fun. That they make it fun. I love to play with Lego. That they always make it fun. I like playing with my friends in the playground. Having snack. I like playing with my friends. That I like to, in the classroom, I like to play with the cardboard and make stuff. Math, counting, making books, cooking. I have learning about how you wash your hands. Taking care of the school books. That I learn alphabets today and numbers. Chinese. I learn maths, counting, sound beats. Learn how to share. Counting and making numbers. Learning strategies how to count numbers. They treat you like they're children. They treat us really nicely. Sharing. They're nice and they're caring. Respectful. They like it. They liked when I eat it well. They tell kids what to do. Nice, kind, respectful. Kind. They like helping kids. That's what they do. I would tell them that the school is kind to you. We're adding zip lines. The school is like it's a rectangle. The school has kind friends. I would stay with them and show them around and say it's okay. Make friends. I'll say it's okay. Don't have to be afraid. You'll get better. It's okay. Be brave. You might have kind teachers. And it's your first day, so you never know what happens.
Thank you, Nisha. I love that the word kind comes out so many times there. So now we'd like to just share a little bit about our learning programme. And as the poll said, this is of high interest to all of you. I want to just share what makes it unique and why our students love coming to school every day. We have a bespoke concept-based curriculum that we've created with the learner at the heart of our programme. And it's been articulated from K1 all the way up to grade 12 to ensure that our learners can move seamlessly through our school. As you can see from the diagram, there are 5 elements, and Ruby spoke about these elements really well, and they're displayed as a circle intentionally. So they are of equal value and importance, but obviously don't receive the exact same amount of time. Our main aim through our learning programme is to provide our students with a holistic, value-based education that develops them as individuals as well as active members of a global society. We want our students to grow into happy, articulate, passionate and confident young people, though actually a lot of them already are, who will understand their place in the world and do their very best to make a difference and be change makers. They are certainly confident and they certainly understand the notion of service. So many times a parent contacts us to tell us that on their child's birthday, they ask their parents that they get no gifts at all, but have donations instead to donate to our global partners that grade is looking at, which is a real example of them taking action. Thank you, Nisha. Our personal and social education is probably the one area of our 5 elements that actually underpins everything we do and hopefully has more time than anything else. It transcends everything. It's every action, every relationship, and how children deal with their challenges, how they face it in order to support the development of their personal, social, and emotional well-being. As teachers and adults in our school, we care about each and every one of the students, both within and beyond our classrooms. We aim to nurture their development holistically and are privileged to watch them flourish. Learning in our primary school is all about developing personal, social and emotional skills, as well as being an intellectual process. And that's why PSE is embedded in all elements of the programme. At UWC, we believe that learning is most effective when our learners feel safe, secure and supported. And working together as a community, we also prioritise protecting children and keeping them safe. Some of the ways we do this is by teaching children safe behaviours and conducting safeguarding lessons through our PSE. This works without a doubt far better when there is a strong connection between home and school, which we are really pleased to have and to work to maintain. Thanks, Nisha. Service and sustainable development is an area that we are hugely passionate about, and Ruby spoke about a lot throughout her presentation. And I actually suspect that that's Ruby's mum in the Sammy Sun there.
It is, yes.
Our service learning plays a huge part every single day. As soon as children enter K1, they begin those conversations and stories and examples of how service starts with me. And then they learn how that moves out from themselves. We have college services, we have local partners who we do service with, and we have global partners. Sadly, in current times, there's been some impact. We can't do the visits overseas and locally that we would normally do with our children, but that has not weakened the connection we have with them and the great work that still goes on. In the infant school, the children will learn very much about how the different opportunities they can move through and how those relationships develop as they move, as I said, from that learning about service starts with me and then on to how they can take action and make a difference in the community, their own and then the wider circles of that community. Thanks, Nish. This is one of my favourite photographs. So this is taken from the top of the infant building, and actually we now have not zip lines but abseiling lines down this circle as well. But community is really integral to our school, and in particular our infant school. We talk about the K-12 and the benefits of being in K-12, but as Ruby mentioned, when you're in your grade, that feels like a small, safe environment. But we're very much about our students. They're not my students, they're not that class of students, they're our students, they're UWC's family. We try to come together as a whole whenever we can, and in the past we've done things like, as our grade 12 students graduate, we have a grand walk where the whole of the school comes out to celebrate the end of their formal education. We've had to be more creative in later times, but we do have cross-school buddies and other things going on. We recently just had UWC Day, where we had lots of activities to celebrate our UWC movement across the world, in line with the UN Day of Peace. Every voice in our infant school is valued and celebrated, and every individual makes a contribution. We believe that every child brings a set of unique experiences to school, their passions, their knowledge, and this greatly adds to the whole community. In this pedagogy of respectful and responsive listening, alongside these relationships that are built and shared, these are the standout qualities that we're super proud of in our infant school. To go into a little bit more depth about the learning programme, I'm going to now hand over to our primary school vice principal, Tracy Yockman, who has special responsibility for infant school. Thank you, Tracy.
Hi everyone, and welcome on this Thursday afternoon to hear a bit more about our infant school program. So as Pauline mentioned, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our learning program. So next please, Nisha. Thank you. So as she mentioned, our learning program is a holistic one, and we recognise that all children are individuals and pay attention to all aspects of their development, so including the physical, emotional, social, personal, as well as the intellectual. So our curriculum in the infant school is interdisciplinary in nature, as we believe this supports how young children learn best. So you'll see materials and invitations set out for children that may have them engaging with a range of concepts, skills and knowledge from a combination of different curriculum areas. In our infant school, the planning is intentional and it's also responsive to the children's needs. And teachers are planning experiences based on what they hear and see children doing, combined with their knowledge of the curriculum. So these learning engagements are there to nudge and challenge students forward in their thinking and their learning. So I was just trying to think of a quick example of this. The other day I was in a class and there were a group of children who were using some plastic animals to make a zoo, and they had them in different enclosures and they had the same kind of animals in there together in the different spaces. And the teacher who was listening and observing this play made the connection to a unit that they're currently working on around communities. And she took this idea and then provided in the coming days experiences for the children to build on something they were clearly already interested in. And they started to explore animal communities, focusing on some of those concepts that was the focus of the unit, as well as sorting as part of their math curriculum, classification, which was part of the science curriculum. And then there were a whole lot of literacy experiences that they were engaging with, where they were using books to research. They were writing maps of zoos and labelling things in their play area. So utilising different curriculum areas to make the experiences much more authentic and finding ways to connect that to the children's interests. So with our approach to learning, there are some important elements that we take into consideration when we think about how best young children learn. So next slide, please, Nisha. Okay, the first of these is what we call our image of the child. And this is really important and something that I know our infant school staff feel very strongly about. We have a deeply embedded commitment to the role of research in teaching and learning. And much of our ongoing research is based on what we call our image of the child, which emphasises how students' learning experiences are aligned with our values. So rather than seeing children as empty vessels waiting to be filled with knowledge, we strongly believe in a child with unlimited potential, who's eager to interact with and contribute to the world. So we aim to nurture their curiosity and their imagination. So when they arrive in our doorstep in August, they already have an enormous amount of existing understanding and knowledge and so many experiences to share. And once they're settled, they're usually quite happy to share those. So we value the children's contributions as much as possible. We want them to be part of co-constructing their learning. So we do that by listening to what they have to say. We observe how they interact with each other and with the provocations that we use to guide our planning. So we want them to ask questions. That's really important. And we use these questions as entry points to explore what we call conceptual understandings. So by listening to the children, we're able to identify the concepts and skills that are appropriate as next steps in their learning. We strongly believe in the power of collaboration. When young children encounter new materials and ideas with their peers, ideas start flowing and quickly expanded by other children. That individual sharing often leads to a collective investigation. You'll often, when you see a group of children, you see a child individually exploring something, but when another child, they have very strong opinions, which we absolutely love. And you will see another child come up and challenge a theory that somebody might have. And that's what we want. We want those differences of opinion, just like how we learn as adults with a different point of view. Those different perspectives lead to a really strong basis for learning. So our approach harnesses this natural curiosity, and we believe that leads to a much deeper and more meaningful understanding. So it's a more authentic experience, we feel, for our young learners, and again, validates each child as capable and competent. Next, please. So next is that we strongly value a child-centred and play-based approach. And we believe that this is what is best for our youngest learners. As I mentioned, we believe children co-construct their theories and knowledge through those relationships, and that they build with other people, not just with their peers, but with teachers and also with the environment around them. So a lot of attention is given to detailed observations and documentation of the learning, and most importantly, the learning process takes priority over that final product. Through this observation and the documentation, teachers are able to identify areas where explicit instruction needs to take place, as well as areas that they can nudge further during any inquiry. Thanks, Nisha. Next is the environment as the third teacher, which can sound a little strange, but I know I mentioned before about them working with their peers, the teacher, and the environment is also a really important part in this. So we believe that physical environment is a central component to their learning as well. And we want to create learning spaces that invite and promote research and autonomous discovery, both for individual children and for groups working together. So everything we set up is done intentionally. It might look like a pile of blocks sitting somewhere, but teachers put thought into what is in a space and why it's there and how it could promote learning. a shared desire to provoke the children's thinking and build on their existing understanding are some of the reasons that they will intentionally choose certain provocations or invitations for the children to explore. So when you visit our classrooms or pods, and hopefully you do get to do that sometime soon, you'll see flexible spaces with different arrangements of furniture and resources to meet different learning needs. Evidence of the children's voice on display. We want to not just make their thinking visible for us, but for them to see that we really value their voice. What they have to say is important and we're listening to that. And so we do that by displaying their voice in different ways around classrooms. Interesting and creative provocation. So I used that word before as well as invitation. So when we're talking about a provocation or an invitation, with something that we know is going to capture their attention as they walk into a room and they're going to want to know more about, start to ask questions. So it might be something like you might be thinking about or investigating, wanting them to investigate living and non-living things. So you may have a plastic plant and a real plant, some magnifying glasses, some clipboards with paper, things like that, just set up without saying anything, without asking anything yourself, just to see what they start to ask, what they discover. And when they have that connection of asking those questions themselves, the learning is always much richer. So we work hard to construct that environment that allows their interests and questions to emerge. The play is often complex, and this allows children to develop the qualities and mindset of a researcher. So it was just an example of this would be some trains and tracks that were set out in an area with some additional building materials, some MRT maps, some books about buildings and construction. And children started extending the tracks and then representing their creations in their own MRT maps. And through this, they were labelling stops, researching, mapping skills with the teacher. Some were building shopping areas where the MRT would stop and referred to the construction books to help design their buildings, but all while discussing their ideas, sharing, negotiating, which is massive for a 4, 5 or 6-year-old, or some adults that I know even. So really that learning those skills, those PSE skills, those personal and social education skills that Pauline spoke about, they're just so important in our infant school, all the way through our school, but we certainly do focus and have a lot of intentional teaching around how we work with others. So lots of questions are asked and answered or debated by students as they added lists of ideas and theories with their teachers. Next, please, Nisha. And finally, we often refer to the 100 languages of the child. And like we talked about, or like I spoke about, with each child brings so much and has so much to offer that we want to build on that. It's the same with the way they show that thinking. They don't all show that thinking in the same way, whether it's verbally or through writing or drawing. But one of the interesting elements within our school is the importance given to the expressive arts as a vehicle for learning. So we believe that children should be given countless opportunities to express themselves and their thinking in many different ways. So having opportunities to do that through drawing and sculpture, dramatic play, puppetry, painting, and of course writing, music, are all ways that we encourage children to express their ideas. And
we are now going to show you our infant school virtual tour. So my colleague Christina is about to show that. So here you go, enjoy it. Okay, well, thank you for watching that and enjoying that with us.